There we go. So what you're going to see is some oxidization. So what we're going to do today for you in this video is we're going to be polishing this outside the box, and then we're going to reveal a nice little 50-50. The products I'm going to be using today, I'm going to be using some SGCB pad, which is the wine pad, and I'm also going to be using a polish by Absolute Valeting half cut. If you haven't seen any videos on Absolute Valeting on Instagram, go check them out, man. They've got some fantastic videos, and Steve is an absolute whiz with a rotary. So in true absolute fashion, with the PE 14-2 150, there you go, I've got it now. We're going to be using a 5-inch pad. We're going to be working this through, and I'm going to give you my feedback as we go. So I'll put a little cross bun on there. There's a couple of ways you can apply polish to a rotary. We're going to work through those as well, so I can show you different ways, whatever suits you. There's not one size fits all, so whatever works for you. We can start off with a speed one and just move this around. And I'll talk about the characteristics of a rotary as well, and using a gear-driven device. Let's turn up the speed 3. So there's a different kind of motion with a rotary. You tend to find that some people have a faster speed and get their hands moving, so they're trying to allow it to pull down. I tend to find that with a foam pad and a medium cut, the friction isn't that high, so I'm not going to be generating a lot of heat, plus the temperature right now is bang on our side. So we're not really building up much temperature. Now one of the other forces you can use to create extra cut is pushing down on the rotary. Extra force is going to give you extra cut, but that's not necessary. So because I'm moving material now, what we're going to do is that's 2 sections, and what I'm going to do is, what I love to do with single stage paint is, behind me is my wash bucket. That's it. Then I'll speed one. So with single stage paint, it's very, very, very soft. So the amount of material you're going to be removing is fantastic, because you're going to get quick correction, but it means it's going to be much harder to refine. But what that also means is you've got good feedback. You can actually see what's coming off. Whereas when you're working with clear coat, usually, you don't actually get to see that coming off. You just have to imagine how much is coming off. But this is real good feedback with single stage paint. But the reason why I like to keep my pad a little damp, as you can see now, those pores are nice and clean. We're now just going to spin that up to speed 6 and let that, and dry that off. There we go. Now the motto when it comes to paint correction is working clean is your friend. And now when you use a DA in this process, it doesn't really get as much water out as a rotary does when you spin dry it. The rotary really does work it really, really well. So that pad looks really, really clean now, which is awesome. So again, reload. And if you want to, you can also use, if there's too much water in it, also use your air compressor. There we go. Really nice, fresh, clean pad, working clean. This is the art of great paint correction. Primed up. Right then, let's get in this nice little seat. If you're new to a rotary, pressing this onto the panel like this is going to make your life a lot easier. Start on a speed 1. What you'll notice what I'm doing with this is there's two drives to a rotary. So what you're going to have is the top bit's going to spin this way, which means the bottom bit's going to spin this way. That's two centrifugal forces. So when you're working, it's okay to have it on a flat panel and work it like that. But when you're working these areas, the gear effect, that gear drive, can drag you around. I'm going to show you what handle alterations I make to manipulate myself around these edges. Whenever you're working with a force rotation, it has the same sort of rhythm, that it's sort of direct drive, it's got that gear driven. But when you're using a random orbital, what you'll find is whenever you get into these areas here, it will stall out really, really quickly. And then that'll give you the feedback to know that your pad isn't very flat. So let me sort of show you how to direct that into these areas. So as you can see, slightly tilted up. If I was to put that flat watch, it's going to start pulling me around. Look, there you go. I've got too much force on one walk. It's called what we call walking. If the machine wants to walk away, look. There you go. I move my handle, look, it's walking away. So just by using the top side, now I get loads of control. You can pump up the speed now. Got some good control. One of the other reasons for doing this is that because you can see that rotation to the right, whenever you're working on areas like this where you've got a swage line or an edge, whenever the pad is rolling off the edge, you've got no chance of burning through. But if you had this flat, this back side would be rolling up onto the edge and smashing against it. And it's always the bit you don't see that always burns through the paint. When I first started polishing, because I'm a hairdresser, I tried to come at this from an angle where I was trying to think about sectioning hair on a head. And I used to watch all the polishing videos during lockdown. And the hot cross bun, or the two up, two down, which is this way and then this way. On certain sections it doesn't work out. Sometimes you can just go straight up and down. You don't always have to do a figure of 8, circle of 4. One movement is classed as a pass. So this is 2 passes, 3 passes, 4 passes, and 4 would make a set. As you move along, I've got this complete control now of the machine. I'm now into it. Whenever I see a little bit more, these scratches that need a bit more aggression, I can just apply a bit of extra force. Just like a magic eraser, rubbing it away. Again, these little areas here. The higher I tilt this up, now this has turned into a 3-inch pad. If you think about it, you've got the diameter of this is 5 inches. Every time I tilt up, this is getting smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. So almost to the point where you can almost create a 2-inch pad. So in this section here at the bottom, if you were using a random orbital, you'd have to use a 2-inch pad on a rotary to work up and down. With this, no problem. What you're going to see here is you're going to see a little bit of where you can see where soft paint, you can start seeing it like tattooing, transferring over. You can see that this has got quite a long work time, which is great. So you can start to see, I'm getting that feedback now that if I work that too much, this is going to overheat the panel. it's going to overheat the polish, and it's going to make that a lot harder to buff off. And if it's harder to buff off, what you're going to end up finding is you're going to end up rubbing the panel so hard to get it off that you're going to end up scratching it to get it off. Then you have to go over it again, over it again. So when you're doing your test sections, hand speed, how slow you're going to go, how fast you're going to go, what pad you're going to use, what polish you're going to use, what compound you're going to use. And then once you've got that once you've got that dialed in, you can just continue the same process all the way around the car. Now, we can assess with paint depth gauge meters and everything else what's going on with the paint. We can't allow for whether the car has had paint or not. So you're going to have to use your eyes and your experience, and also ask the customer. Find out from the customer, are they aware that it's had any paint? Anyone watching? If anyone's got any questions, feel free to fire anything over. If you've got any queries, let me know. Freya can read out the questions, can't you, babe? What was the reason for not using it on a foam pad? Really, Humberto? I definitely think it depends on how your air compressor is set up. When you're using an air compressor, like you said, I think what you're saying is when you spin the pad and you put the air compressor on it, what you will see is you can see it inflate, a bit like if you've got no air in a tyre. As soon as the tyre starts to speed up, it starts to inflate. So yeah, you can blow the pad out if it's on too fast. But with a rotary, the speed level, the RPMs are so much lower than a DA, so it doesn't have that much of an effect. Plus, it depends on what your capacity is on your compressor as well. So, as much as that is a factor, it's never been a factor that I have to worry about too much. But yeah, you're right. You can just use a brush. The one factor I would say, Alberto, is microfibers can be blown out quite easily, whereas the microfiber pad needs to be blown out every single time. Whereas a foam pad, you can do a couple of sets before it tends to degrade, and you have to change it or clean it out. You get a bit more work time with it. It's a great point. I don't know if you guys have noticed, I've not really buffed anything off to check. Because I've got quite a few years experience now with machine polishing, I kind of know what I'm looking for. Just polished this half cut by Absolute Valeting. It's quite a long run time, which is good. This door is probably going to be the best door that the customer's going to have. This is probably going to look the best compared to the rest of the car. Awesome. Put that up there. Let's buff this off and let's do the big reveal. But if you've got any more questions or statements or anything else, feel free. Absolutely no problem at all. So the process you go through before you get into this process is obviously your 2-bucket wash, going into your iron fallout remover treatment, leaving it on for 10 minutes. Then you rinse that off, then you go into your tar and glue stage to get rid of any tar and glue. If the car has any water spots, I would then do a water spot treatment, because the worst thing you want to do is do any paint correction and the car's got water spots, and what will happen is that once the car gets hot and goes through another cycle, A cycle means when the paint gets hot, cools, those water spots will come back. So doing a mineral spot remover treatment is definitely recommended before any paint correction. That should be part of your decon process anyway. So let's get started with the big reveal. Now I think we're starting to get, I don't know about you Fred, but you can see definitely this paint looks different colour to this paint, don't you think? This one looks more, this one's got more of an orangey tinge to it, hasn't it? It's more orange in this one. Come around from that side. Might be able to see it better on that side. You can see this is a little bit flatter, and this one's got a bit more red and orange in it, isn't it? It's all right. Just look at the texture as well. This one? Yeah. Cool. You ready for the big reveal? Let's get this off. Let's have a look at see what we've done. So the process on this would be classed as my enhancement. Isn't that satisfying? I'm just going to get some IPA. Give that a quick wipe down. Yeah. That's right, I'll grab it. So what does IPA do? This is Car Pro Eraser. What it does, it's got a little bit of APC, and it's an isopropyl alcohol, which basically means that it removes any oils. So it's always recommended before you move on to the next section to do a good wipe down so you can get a true reflection. Otherwise, what will happen is that some polishes have fillers in them. This one doesn't. But what can still happen is that the polish can get filled into those swirls. You go to do a wipe down at the end when you finish polishing, and the car shows that it's got some more scratches, and that is not what you want. And there you go. What a big difference. What do you think?
That is a big difference. It was a really big difference when you first pulled it off and sprayed it. It's not as big of a difference.
Well, because it's been wiped down.
But no, it is like a big difference.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. As you can see, the back door definitely had some paint done. That goes to show with the line we've got at the top. We've got a blend line at the top. Up here. If I get in there, you can see the blend line more now. Not sure if you're going to see it.
Oh, there we go. Just saw it.
Yeah. Better. So yeah. Bit light. Anyway. That. You can see the difference on that back door as well. So we're going to go and hit the back door. Get rid of some of these swirls. And stay tuned for the community post, guys. So if there's any questions, feel free to hit me down in the comment section. Hope you enjoyed that one. If you want a link to any of the products, I will leave a link down in the description. And I will leave you with that beautiful little finish. Take care, guys. Thanks a lot, Humbo, for joining. I'll see you soon.